Hi, I'm Daniel and this is Ashville. Today I'm racing this Class 66 loco with 19 wagons full of material against my Scania 8x4 tipper lorry. It's truck versus train. I'm gonna wait so we leave at the same time. I'm gonna make sure this race is fair. The train's managed to get ahead of me. I could get a puncture. No, it's ahead of schedule. The roll race begins. So we're at Aggregate Industries in the Isle of Grain. This is one of their many distribution and processing sites. This site imports 1.5 million tonnes of aggregates a year. In the UK, we supply and distribute using road, rail and sea, all of which have their benefits and limitations. Now this site is part of a distribution chain. They import by sea and export in bulk by sea and rail. They have local customers collecting by road. Now we at Ashville import in bulk by rail and distribute locally by road. As an experiment to find out which one is most environmentally friendly, efficient and cost effective, we're going to fully load this train and a tipper and race them back to the Ashville yard in Heathrow. The entire train journey is about 60 miles, but it's not a straight line. It has to stop at multiple red signals and change drivers once. The quickest route by road is 75 miles. However, that would take us through built-up city areas. So we're going to stick to the outskirts and take a route which is 81 miles. I can tell you this will not be a photo finish and there will be a clear winner on which mode of transportation is fastest. However, we are also going to consider costs, fuel consumption, impact on the environment, loading time, and man hours. Now let's go through the stats. This Scania is a 13-litre diesel engine with 410 brake horsepower. However, it is limited to 55 miles an hour in line with EU law. Now this can carry 19 tonnes of material and will be a total weight of 32 tonnes. This Class 66 is a two-stroke V12 diesel engine. It has 3,250 horsepower. Now the maximum speed is 70 miles an hour, but it has been limited to 60 miles an hour. The entire loco weighs 127 tonnes. You can see the box wagons here. Each of these weighs 25 tonnes empty. Each is going to be loaded with 75 tonnes. So this train will have a total weight of just over 2,000 tonnes. Now let's get loaded. Now the shovel drivers have onboard weighers, which means inside the cab they can see how many tonnes is in each bucket. So the techers here is to put 3 buckets at each end and then 1 bucket in the middle. This site imports all its material from Glen Sander. This site has been open since 1987 and it used to supply the Channel Tunnel with sediment to a factory nearby. Since then, it's worked on high-speed rail link 1. It supplies Network Rail and the London Underground with track ballast. Also at this site, they reclaim track ballast and sell it as a recycled aggregate. Annually, the site imports 1.5 million tonnes by ship. It processes 500,000 tonnes. 30,000 tonnes a year is exported by ship and that goes into London. 750,000 tonnes a year is exported by rail and 750,000 tonnes a year is exported by road. There are 36 different materials which are produced here, used for concrete, asphalt and sub-bases. AI did a sponsored walk and raised £7,500 for a local school. Now there was a management restructure at this site which resulted in 3 of the existing employees being promoted. Train's loaded, ready to leave. It's got a bit of a head start on me, but I am also loaded. I'm trying to get up to the crossing point here, before the train blocks me. So the train's managed to get ahead of me. I'm blocked in, but at this point we're only heading to the holding area. We're going to wait there until there is a clear path. It's 8 p.m. Generally, this work wouldn't be done at this time of the night. This will be done in the daytime. In the daytime, there'd be loads more traffic, and from the yard to Isle of Grain, we could probably do 2 loads a day if we're lucky. But at this time, the roads are pretty quiet. It's a chance I could get a puncture, or there could be an accident on the road on the M25, but those are the wild cards. The same thing could happen with the train possibly. Network Rail could all of a sudden, there could be a possession, there could be a driver not turn up who's unwell. I think I've got it in the bag, but we'll see what happens. There's a long way to go. Parked up in the GBRf freight yard at Tonbridge. The locomotive is going to detach and park here as it refuels. I'm going to park right here so the driver sees us, so he knows that I'm onto him. And I also want to make sure that GBRf freight don't try to switch it up and switch the loco on me for a more powerful one. I can see over here they've got one of these diesel electric ones what can work on both. I'm going to make sure this race is fair. See these tricks? They told me that it's going to go over there and then they put it over here to refuel. So I've moved the lorry next to him just to let you know. I've got my eyes on you, I'm watching. Having a look at the fuel tank. This tank is 5,150 litres. Now this is 3/4 full, but what that means is when we get back to the yard, we can actually check and see exactly how much diesel was burned. So the locomotive has been refueled. It's going to go back around, and this time it's going to reverse and push the wagons out of the yard, and then it's going to continue on the main line the way in which it came. Now the departure time is 3:33 a.m. Now I'm going to wait so we leave at the same time so it's fair, and plus because there'll be no traffic at that time. It is now 3:22. And we've got the call and the train is going to start backing out. The temperature has dropped significantly. It was good of GBRf freight to give me a jacket to keep warm, but now it's time. The roll race begins. 4.5 hours of driving time available. Earlier today, it took me about 4 hours and 35 minutes to get to the Isle of Grain and then get to the holding area, so I needed a rest. I only needed 45 minutes, but I took a lot more than that, so I now have 4.5 hours, which will take me up to my maximum driving time today. I definitely feel that I'll be back to the yard in a lot less than 4.5 hours. Now, these driving hours exist first and foremost to keep everyone safe, to ensure that drivers are not driving day and night, and when they are on the road, they've had adequate rest and they are alert. And the other reason for driving hours is so we can have a somewhat level playing field for all businesses. Every train journey in the UK is monitored and is available in real time to anyone who wants to search for the information. So we can actually see a timetable of where the train is meant to be at a certain time, and we can see the time it actually passed that place. So Wilson, let's have a look at where this train is.
So the train passed Sevenoaks at 4:06, which was the scheduled time.
So you're saying the exact minute it was meant to pass Sevenoaks, it passed the exact minute?
The train is currently on schedule.
The train is on schedule. Woo! We are on the M25. We've just come onto it from the A21, so we ourselves are on time. The roads look clear. Need to stay focused, stay alert, get to the yard safely. There's a possible 30 points where the train could have to stop. The train will change drivers in Acton, but if I look at the schedule, that's only going to take a couple of minutes if they're prepared, which GBRf normally are. The real stumbling block for the train is really Ashville's fault, because the train cannot do what it did in the GBRf yard, where you park the wagons and then the locomotive goes round and it can maneuver. So the train has to go past the yard, it has to go down to Colnbrook, and it has to turn around and come back and then reverse into the yard. So even if the worst happens, if I get a puncture, even if there's an accident, if I get held up for a little while, with the turnaround time, what the train's got to do, I still think I can get in the yard before it. Thinking of stopping for breakfast. What's the status of the train, Wilson?
It was meant to be going past Chesfield at 4:16. It's 1 minute ahead of schedule. It went past
No!
4:04.
No! It's ahead of schedule!
Only by 1 minute.
Maybe I won't stop for breakfast. I was smart enough to fill my tank full of diesel, and I'm actually down to 60%, but that's more than enough. So I'm confidently strolling back towards the yard. Slow and steady wins the race. It is 4:23 and the sun is beginning to come up. I am on the M25 going past junction 8. So we've just passed junction 10 on the M25. It said we're 7 minutes away from junction 11. Talk to me, Wilson, where's that train?
So it's just past Lewisham.
South London?
Yeah, it was scheduled to go past at 4:30.5.
Yes.
And it went past at 4:30 bang on.
So the train is half a minute ahead of schedule. Right. Okay, looks like we're all having a good run, but what I can see is the M25 looks like it's beginning to get busy. It's not as empty as it was when we first got on. Time now is 4:57. Wilson, give us an update.
So the train just went past Latchmere.
Yes.
It's now just in time with what it's predicted.
Okay, so it's not behind, it's exactly on time.
Yes.
So it's lost that time that it was ahead. We are now coming off the M4 at Datchet and Langley. crossover onto Thorny Mill Road, and the train is
Still on time. It just went past Kensington Olympia.
so the train's had no delays. A good day. No delays for the lorry, no delays for the train. We are the champions, my hands. That's it. I am back in the yard. I have tipped off a load. It is 5:18 a.m. How are we getting on with the train?
So it's just gone past Acton Wells and it's made back half a minute.
So it's not far down the road, but it's got to get up to here and go and turn round in Colnbrook and then come back. So thus far, the truck is the winner. So the train has arrived in the yard. It is 6:45 a.m. and the offload has started already. In total, the journey took the train 3 hours. Now it burnt 25% of this tank, which is roughly 1,280 litres. If we divide that by 1,400 tonnes, it means that we burnt 0.9 litres of fuel for every tonne of material delivered. The journey took the truck an hour and a half, and I burnt 100 litres of fuel. If I divide that by 19 tonnes, it means we burnt 5.3 litres of fuel for every tonne delivered. To put this in perspective, for this truck to deliver the same amount of material that's come on this train this morning, it would take a total of 75 round trips. That totals 12,000 miles and 7,500 litres of fuel. With driver working hours and restrictions, we would only be able to do 2 a day, so it would take 7 weeks in total. So the truck was quicker, but the train brought more material, it burnt less fuel, it made no traffic on our roads, and it was more cost effective. The train has further economic benefits. It helps businesses in different parts of the country trade together who couldn't otherwise because of the distances and costs associated. Trains ensure a continued supply to the construction industry in areas where they cannot naturally produce or keep up with demand. Without this, material price would go up massively because it would be a limited resource, and this would cause massive delays on large government infrastructure projects, which would ultimately cost the taxpayer money. Beforehand, I did know the truck would be quicker, but I did think the train would be the overall winner. Now, the main purpose of this video is to highlight how important trains are in the movement of goods, materials, and people. This was done in the early hours of the morning to show a real-time side-by-side comparison. Had this been done in normal working hours, I would have faced extreme traffic conditions and the results would have been different. It's important that all of us take a long, hard look how our businesses' activities impact our planet's limited natural resources as we all strive towards a sustainable future. I want to thank everyone from GBRf, Aggregate Industries, and the Ashville team for working so hard to make this video happen. Thank you for watching, and let us know what other races you'd like to see. Click here for the Ashville website. Click here to subscribe to our channel. Click here to see a video where I learned to drive a train through a simulator, and click here to see a video where we show you exactly how we offload a train like this in 3 hours.